Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Reed, and today I am going to be speaking to all of you about why it is important to travel. This summer, I got the amazing experience to travel with the Team U Italy program with Dr. Horner and Dr. Chua. I got to go to Rome, Florence, Venice, and make a couple pit stops in Paris. And with my experience, I learned the importance of travel as a person and also for my future in the workforce. So today I want to talk to you about why I think it is important for you as well. For a moment, I want you to think of a time when you were very out of your comfort zone, when you were with people that you didn't necessarily understand very well, whether that's just like going from the East Coast to the West Coast, whether that's the South to the Midwest, whether that's you flew to Dublin or Italy or Paris, just a time where you were not with people that you were similar to. I have a personal story about that. When I was in Rome, I was at the Pantheon. And the cool thing about Italy is that the way they built their cisterns and their wells under the city is that there is a constant flow of water throughout all the fountains in the city, no matter how ancient, no matter how historic. There's just this water you can drink. It is fresh, it is cold, it is the best water I've ever had. You wouldn't think that water would have like a taste, but it does in Rome. And I had gotten very used to just walking up to a fountain and taking some water into my water bottle. So there we were in the Pantheon, and there is this fountain to my left, and it is just 10 feet high. It is elaborately detailed and sculptured, and it is beautiful. And common sense would have said that I could not drink this water because I literally could not reach the water from just standing there. But I had gotten used to this concept of the culture where I could just drink any water out of any fountain. So I go up, and instead of just thinking through this common sense wise, I decided to climb the fountain to the water and get my water that way. And as I do so, I kind of look around and I notice that every Italian is just stopped and staring. No one's talking, no one's telling me not to, but no one's really acting like it's normal. And so they're taking their phones out and like snapping a couple pictures of me. And I still had gotten used to this concept I had of this specific culture. So I keep climbing and I get my water and I climb down. I taste this water and it's not as cold. It doesn't taste as fresh. But like I said, concept of culture had made me think otherwise, that this was okay. Even though everything around me, every nonverbal, every sign that I could have taken that this wasn't okay, said not to. So about 30 minutes later, I take some girls that were with me on the trip, and I'm like, oh, there's this water fountain. Would you like to get some water? So I take their water fountains, and as I go to proceed to do the same thing again, one of the girls on my trip point out that there's this little sign in the corner. It's about this big. It was easy to miss. And it was in Italian first, Latin, and then very small letters in English. It said, do not drink this water. And in that moment, I was very humbled. I understood why those Italians had taken out their phones. And I realized that that was something that I did not gather solely because I already thought I knew what the culture was. Similar to these moments, one time I went to a coffee shop in Florence and it was 4 p.m. and I ordered a cappuccino. And the barista starts laughing, just like cracks up laughing. And in English points out to all the old men in the shop, oh, she's ordering coffee at 4 p.m. And I went and asked Dr. Chu, I was like, why is this like funny to them? And she explained to me that in their culture, they don't drink coffee with milk after about 11 o'clock. So once again, I did something that was funny to them that I thought was normal. And this proceeded to happen multiple times, whether it was in the airplane when I couldn't speak French back to the flight attendant, or it was when I tried to order meat and I couldn't pronounce it. When I tried to order meat well done and they refused to bring it to me, they said it had to be medium rare. Just different things like that really pushed me to a comfort zone that I wasn't aware with. And as I proceeded to live my 6 weeks out in Italy, I realized how important it was to travel because it humbled me and it made me very aware of the things that I did not naturally know. And as humans, we like to be in our comfort. We like this idea of travel and we like to think about the places we will go and look at pretty pictures on Pinterest and to eat different cuisines and to think about being cultured. But to be cultured is actually a concept that is very outside of our comfort zone and pushes us to realize that our way and our culture is not the only one, and it is not always natural. So the things that I took away from that were very personal, and the needs I saw why other people should experience travel were first and foremost to learn. I have read textbooks my whole life. I have looked at history. I watched the History Channel. I was fascinated with Rome when I was about 12. I could not get enough of the history of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. And when I stood above the Forum and overlooked all of ancient Rome, it hit me what I learned. It didn't matter how much I had loved it as a child, I suddenly realized the importance of the history of how Rome even affects America, how Rome affects the future, how it will affect the millennial when Christ returns. History is fluid with present time, and if you are going to be someone who has a grasp on history, which is important because history helps us to learn from our mistakes, it helps us to move forward. There's a purpose that God has us record history. And as I stood over the Forum and I saw the place where Paul walked to the council in Acts, I saw where Julius Caesar was stabbed, I saw the Colosseum, I could swear you could hear the crowd roaring almost. It was a moment that I have never forgotten, and it reminded me of how this entire empire could fall because Christ alone had come. Then how mighty is God, and therefore it kind of makes your brain smaller. And I think that's good for us as we learn and as we develop as people and as we go into the workforce and as we go into different roles in the church, that we understand that our way of living is not the only way, and that history is more than just words on a textbook, and it is more than a grade on our exam. It is a living part of our world. And that also plays a lot into the workforce. And as I kind of came back, I started realizing how much more adaptable I was, how much more independent, how I wasn't scared of getting on a plane and flying on the other side of the country if needed to. The workforce is looking for people who are very adaptable, who can work with different cultures, who can be flexible, who doesn't need to have everything done their way. And I think as millennials, it's very easy for us to be like, this is how things are done. This is how I want my workplace to be. This is how I want to communicate. This is how these people should perceive me communicating. And if we're going to work in HR, PR, even marketing, how are we going to market to a group of people that we can't relate to because we've only ever stayed in our little group, in our little world? And therefore, as you going to perceive trying to get a job, I would believe it's important for you to understand the world and to be able to present to others the ways that you have learned from traveling. Whether your plane does not show up on time, how are you going to react to that? It's going to teach you how to work with deadlines because you have got to dash that train when it's coming. Just things like that will really stretch you as a person and make you a better person for your job. With that being said, I understand that there's a lot of different aspects of travel that are expensive, that seem complicated and seem mysterious almost. So let's start with that plane ticket. I know that time is money, and that is definitely true about a flight. People say that's really expensive to travel. It really isn't. You can get a round trip right now to Paris for under $600. Round trip. There, back. The important thing is that it is 8 months in advance. So that seems kind of like, wow, I can't be spontaneous. But honestly, I recommend not being spontaneous to travel. You should think through the options you have and just buy that plane ticket in advance. It is cheap, it is not hard, and it is going to be an experience you will not regret. That $800 is not going to be something you miss after you have seen the Forum. Trust me. As to where you stay, I stayed in a hostel in Cinque Terre, and it was one of my favorite experiences. It really pushes you to go explore outside because you honestly don't want to stay inside, but you get to meet other people and to meet other cultures and to also be out of your comfort zone once again. There's also Airbnb. Airbnb is not that hard to find. I had some friends stayed in Paris and they only found an entire house for about $300. So traveling, it does not have to be as expensive as you think it is. Therefore, planning it out is not hard. You go to Southwest, you go to Air France, book a ticket, and you are good to go. Another aspect that just to help you wrap it up is get out of your comfort zone, guys. It is okay to be a part of a world that isn't naturally yours. And for once, struggle how to plug something in and how to say good morning and miss something as simple as ice, because it will help you appreciate your own world a lot better. It will humble you and it will give you better chances of success as you plow into the workforce and as you hope for opportunities. Culture is an important thing to understand outside of your own, and I hope that today I was able to stretch your imagination and help you think through the better ways to hope for a better tomorrow. So thank you. That is all.